Hi again to all of you. I'm very glad to have heard from the various chaplains that people are coming to services and gathering. So it makes me very glad to know that you're still practicing and that you're practicing in a Sangha. You're practicing with your fellows on the path. I think that makes a huge difference. Difference to me to know you're doing that, but hopefully a really big difference for all of you as well. So I'm here again with my friend, Ms. Ross, and I'll let her say hello too.
Hi, everybody. Just really glad to be here and wishing you all well. And I too was happy to hear you're practicing together, which we don't get to do. So, but we can feel your connection, even across this electronic medium. It's just nice to know that you're gathered there. So just really grateful to be with you today.
Thank you. So just reminders that should you have comments or questions or requests, please relay them to whoever runs this program for you, the chaplain or the psychologist, whoever it may be, and they can get those to us, and then we would respond in the next time we record. So if you'd like to do that, we'd be happy to have that sense of connection with you. We'll run today, again, as we have in the past. I'll light the candles and incense. We'll do the reflection on universal well-being. We'll chant that. Chant along if you'd like. Then Ms. Ross will lead us in a guided meditation. We'll have some time to reflect on a topic. And then we'll close with the dedication. I will go and light the candles. Now let us chant the reflections on universal well-being. May I abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs.
So the bell is transitioning us from our practice of acknowledging the Buddha, chanting our intention, and transitioning into meditation, where we practice in a place of relative seclusion and quiet to understand the mind in a deeper way. So become aware of how the mind is just generally, just in the overall state. Does it feel relaxed? Is it wandering? Is it anxious? Just noticing how it is. And then dropping into the body, feeling the body resting on the cushion. Just that sense of groundedness, the body being supported by the cushion or the chair. And we can feel the mind resting in the body, however we perceive that. So the body's resting on our cushion or chair. The mind is resting in the body. And just registering this feeling of seclusion coming into the body, awareness of the mind. The body is secluded from all the outside activity in this quiet place. In the mind, we set the intention to seclude the mind by leaving any outside concerns outside and just being aware of what's here right now. We set our intention for our practice, whatever our motivation is for our practice. Maybe it's to get some more calm, maybe it's for understanding. Whatever our intention is, we can acknowledge that now, why we're here practicing, to help motivate us. And grounding in that intention, that good intention. We can feel the body once again grounded in the support of the chair or the cushion. The spine erect, upright from that support. You can even envision each vertebrae of the spine coming up from the base all the way up to the top of the spine, up to the head, moving upwards to erect, alert, yet still relaxed. So the spine is the main support for the body. And just as the spine supports the body, our mindfulness supports our mind. Mindfulness is remembering to be present with what's happening right here, right now. Remembering to be aware of how it is, how is this mind, this body right here, right now. So we can bring this mindfulness just to be aware of the full body, sitting right here, right now. And today we're going to practice with mindfulness of breathing. The instruction from the Buddha is establishing mindfulness to the forefront, maintaining your attention. We breathe in with mindfulness and breathe out with mindfulness. So when we're breathing in, we know we're breathing in. Breathing out, we know we're breathing out. In whatever way we experience it. Always mindful one breathes in, mindful that we're breathing in. Breathe out, mindful that we're breathing out. The body breathing is like this. Breathing in is like this. Breathing out is like this. So our mindfulness reminds us to remember breathing in and breathing out, paying attention to that. Aware of the whole body, breathing in, breathing out. The next instruction in the sequence for mindfulness of breathing, breathing in long, you know I'm breathing in long. Breathing in short, you know I'm breathing in short. Breathing out long, you know we're breathing out long. Breathing out short, you know we're breathing out short. So in this way of practicing, we're actually paying closer attention, not just noticing breathing in and breathing out, but we're noticing the character of the breath. Is it deep and long, or shallow, or short? What's the character of the breath? So really paying attention to breathing in, breathing out, but also how is it? Is it long? Is it short? Deep, shallow? So this is a more focused practice. It's a way to bring the mind to focus, paying closer attention, knowing how it is, breathing in, long or short, deep or shallow. You may even notice that there's a little pause between the in and out breath, a little gap there before the next part of the cycle starts. We can just notice that too. So we're not trying to control it, we're just noticing how it is. Long, short, deep, shallow, noticing the gap. Giving the mind something more focused to do. And we can notice how the mind is with this more focused attention. Does it feel different than it did when we were just noticing breathing in and breathing out? So how is the mind? Is it tightened up now, trying to pay attention to all this, trying to get it right? Or is it interested, curious about this breathing in, breathing out, long, short? How is the mind? Just noticing how it is and then going back to this intention to notice breathing in long, short, deep, shallow. More focused practice. And we can even notice maybe that it changes from long to short to deep or shallow. Noticing change. The breath is like this. The mind is like this. And the next instruction from the Buddha, one trains breathing in, I experience the whole body. One trains breathing out, I experience the whole body. So this is a broader, so we're taking our awareness and opening out to the whole body. More expansive practice, softening and widening. Breathing in, sensitive to the whole body. Breathing out, sensitive to the whole body. So perceiving the whole body breathing. Broadening our awareness. The body breathing is like this. Breathing in, experiencing the whole body. Breathing out, experiencing the whole body. And we can notice how the mind is with this type of practice. With this more expansive practice, does the mind feel more relaxed? Or maybe it's gotten bored and is off thinking about something else. So we can just notice how the mind relates to this experience of the whole body versus the more focused practice that we did before. The whole body breathing in and out is like this. The mind is like this. And the next instruction is, when trains breathing in, I calm the bodily activities. When trains breathing out, I calm the bodily activities. So here we're actually noticing how the body is and noticing if there's any place that's calm, at ease in the body, and inviting that calm and ease throughout the whole body. Maybe even the breath itself coming in and out has a calming effect, that rhythm of the breath. So breathing in, we're calming bodily activity. Breathing out, we're calming bodily activity. Inviting calm and tranquility to the body. Not trying to force it, but just open to that possibility. The rhythm of the breath in and out. Just a rocking, calming effect. Breathing in, calming bodily activity. Breathing out, calming bodily activity. And again, noticing how the mind is with this practice. Does the mind start to wander? Or is it trying to force the calming and it's getting tight? Just how is the mind? Inviting calm to the body. What's the effect on the mind? Not trying to force, just an invitation, an inquiry. What might a calm body look like? And how is the mind? We can keep practicing in this way, noticing in this sitting how the mind responded. If there was one particular practice that the mind seemed to feel at ease and was interested in, that was aware, we could go back and practice that again. And it may or may not be the same as last time. But we use the in and out breath as a base for this practice to get in touch with the body, to get in touch with the mind, to get in touch with the breath, to notice how it is right here, right now, this body, this mind. So the bell takes us out of the meditation practice, but you can just take a moment, maybe with your eyes still closed or a soft gaze, just reflect on what your experience was. How the mind and the body were, what seemed to be helpful, what was frustrating, just noticing how it was, not judging, just noticing. And then coming back into just a sensation of the body sitting, the space around. And coming back into awareness of the other people with you if you're practicing with others. And coming back to awareness of this shepherd and I present here. So hopefully you found that little exploration of how to practice with mindfulness of breathing to be somewhat interesting. These are the instructions that the Buddha gave. A friend of mine asked me the other day, was this the only instruction, specific instruction on how to meditate that the Buddha gave? And I said, no, it's not the only one, but it's one of the ones that he kept coming back to routinely. Because mindfulness of breathing, and you know that when we have met in the past in person, this is something we keep coming back to because mindfulness of breathing, the breath is always there as a meditation object. And hopefully what you experienced in this practice, these different ways of relating to mindfulness, noting how the breath was, how the body was, the connection that we can see between the breath, the body, the mind. If the body is calm, usually the mind is calm. If the body's agitated, a lot of times the mind will be agitated, and maybe the body's agitated because the mind is agitated. So this practice can be used as a way, kind of a more formal way, to really investigate this connection. So we start training the mind to pay attention to how the body and the breath are. And by noticing that, we can start to see the relationship between the body and the mind. And then maybe what you observed, you may or may not have, but a lot of times for me, if I can calm the body, then I can get the mind to calm down. Or if I feel that the body's agitated, it's because the mind is agitated. And if I just bring the attention back to the breathing in and out, a lot of times we talk about taking that, just that one breath to stop thought that's driving us crazy, coming back into just noticing one or two breaths to stop a thought pattern and come in, and we can notice how the breath is, how the body is, and pay attention to that, and let the thoughts that are a problem, that are creating tension, just see what the relationship is, and see if just breaking that thought pattern, we can then tune into how the body and the breath are receiving that, and learn something about what we were just thinking about and how that affects the body and the breath. So the beautiful thing about this mindfulness of breathing, this sequence, is it allows us to observe in very specific ways. So we're setting some intentions on how to practice noticing in a more detailed way versus a more expansive way, how the mind responds to that. And all of our minds are different. Some people need that focus in order to get the mind to pay attention. And sometimes some people that feels really tight and it just cramps your mind up, and you need a more expansive practice. And maybe on any given day, it will vary. And so we have these different ways of practicing, these different tools that we can use to just explore how the mind, the breath, and the body, what the interrelationship is, and what things might be useful if we're agitated to calm us down. So that's how I work with this. And I do this practice routinely because every time I do it, it's different. And every time I learn something different. And one of my teachers described this practice as being the beautiful thing about working with this mindfulness of breathing in and out is it's both a tranquility practice, so it calms the mind, but it's also an insight practice. There's a wisdom factor there that we're curious, we're investigating, like, how does the mind relate to this? And if nothing else, we can see how it all changes all the time, so we can watch impermanence happening. So there's a wisdom component there. Or if we're noticing that the body is tense, we can see what's going on in the mind and what's creating stress. Or if the breath is really shallow, like we can notice that the body's tensed up. And noticing this relationship, we can say, is there anything, we can use our wisdom to say, is there anything that might lead to greater calm? So that's why this is important. It's got two of the three really main factors of our practice embedded in this practice. So it's the wisdom, the paying attention to see what really is going on right here, right now, noticing when there's stress, noticing when there isn't stress, noticing cause and effect of stress versus not stress. So that's all part of our understanding of our practice. To how does this mind-body work? Get to know your mind-body. Like, it goes on forever. Like, every time I do it, it's different. So there's the wisdom part, the investigation, and then there's the tranquility, because and the training the mind to be tranquil so that it's calm and clear, and so that we can see better. So that's another important component of our practice. The third main component of our practice, of course, is the sila, or the morality, the virtue part of the practice. And we can see that too, like if we start thinking about, we're supposed to be doing this, and we start thinking about how we yelled at somebody yesterday and it made us feel bad, maybe that's going to come in too, So we can just watch all these components through this simple practice. And the Buddha gives us these very specific instructions as kind of a roadmap of how we can investigate our mind. But then it's up to each of us to decide, how this map works. And are you going to go slow or fast? And, are you going to walk, or are you going to run? So we can take it at our own pace. We can, if we're on that path and something's working really good, we can hang out there for a while. Maybe we like just feeling the whole body, and we can just hang out there and notice the pleasantness of that. Or maybe we notice the mind wanders and gets scattered, and we go, no, I need to focus in, come in. So this is how we learn about our mind, its relationship to the body and the breath. And this is how we learn how it is right here, right now. So I do this all the time. Some people think of mindfulness of breathing as a beginner practice, and it's beginner, but we're all beginners like our whole life. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Shepherd, what do you think about all this? How do you practice with this?
Yeah. Let me get all of us on here. So yeah, absolutely. I would say not a beginner practice. It's a lifetime practice. That this teaching on mindfulness of breathing, just as Ms. Ross said, the Buddha actually didn't give that many instructions on how to meditate. There are about 5 different suttas, maybe only 4 even, very few. And actually the 2 primary ones both include this mindfulness of breathing as the core. So it is not at all a beginner practice. Sometimes I have people ask me about, okay, well, now I've paid attention to the breath. What do I do now? What happens next? And there really isn't a next. That what happens is that as we pay more and more subtle and comprehensive attention to the breath, more complete attention to the breath, through this framework of connecting with the breath in the body, we are able to more clearly work with, understand, notice things like feelings, things like what's happening in the mind, things like the sort of attitudes and qualities of the mind. But that it's all in this framework of the breath, that we never have to leave the framework of breathing in and breathing out. So the teaching that Ms. Ross, that we're both sort of referring to, is a 16-step process divided into 4 sets. And this very first set is the one Ms. Ross talked about, but I really think the first set is all you need, and that's what the Buddha said. The Buddha said any one of these sets takes you the whole way. And I think that this first step, this first set, is first only in a linear sense of the order that it was presented in. it is not first in the sense of, to me, in the sense of a beginning that we move on from. So these 4 steps that she talked about, the knowing you're breathing in, knowing you're breathing out, knowing a long breath, knowing a short breath, and then the last 2, the whole body and calming. An interesting thing about the transition between those first 2 and then actually the whole last 14 is that the first 2, the Buddha talks about just knowing you're breathing in, knowing you're breathing out, knowing whether it's a long breath or knowing the quality of the breath, as Ms. Ross talked about. Is it choppy? Is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it long or short? That those, the word the Buddha used was to know, just to be aware. But on the next 14, including the whole body and calming, as the last 2 of this set of 4, the word he used in terms of what we're doing in relation to them is training. That we are training the mind to know the whole body, training the mind to know, or training the mind to calm. So that word, it's sikkati is the Pali word, and it's that's an important distinction, helpful distinction to me, to realize it might not automatically be easy to know the whole body. It might be like, I don't know how to know the whole body. Well, that's okay. We're learning how to know the whole body. We're starting to recognize, well, what parts of the body do I have a sense of? What parts of the body may be completely absent from my awareness? And so then that's something we investigate. That's one of the learnings that this mindfulness of breathing provides to us, is to begin to notice, oh, I'm completely out of touch with the top of my head. I have no sensation there. But maybe over time, as we begin to investigate, well, what parts of this body is there a sense of, an awareness of, a sensibility about? And where am I disconnected? And through practicing in this way with mindfulness of breathing, it might be that over time we get a little bit more connection among this whole body. That maybe we start. So for me, the hands are the easiest part of the body to be aware of. And teachers often say hands and feet are where many people are able to get sensation, get a sense of knowing them. But slowly over time, it might be we not only can feel the hands, we feel the whole forearm, up into the upper arm, maybe even into the shoulder and into the neck, maybe even into the whole head. Maybe there's a sense of the gut still being absent, but maybe we can feel the hips because it's touching the ground or the chair. So we begin to investigate what are the connections in the body? And then the calming, noticing, well, I can feel my hands, but I can also notice that maybe they've fisted up. Sometimes I'll notice that I start putting some pressure and my hands are touching. I'll realize that I'm kind of gripping them a bit. Oh, that's not very calm. So I can release, relax a bit, let a sense of calming arise. So the training in that, the word training means that we're putting our word Ms. Ross used, we're putting our intention as well as attention on these factors of the whole body and of calming. I think both of those are also useful in that it is often the case that when we hear about attending to the breath, and people use words like focus and concentration, we can really tighten in a way that's not at all supportive of a mind that is at ease. And so broadening attention into the whole body, broadening attention into a sense of ease and calm, hopefully reduces that tendency to think we need to zero in. because zeroing in is a tightening. And this practice of mindfulness of breathing is a practice of allowing the breath to be at ease, allowing the body to be at ease, learning, beginning to understand, well, what is ease? And a mind that is stressed, trying, tightening, confused is not a mind that's at ease. So Ms. Ross used words like widening, softening, relaxing into the in-breath, the out-breath. Realizing too that the body knows how to do this, that we are deluded when we think we have to do it for the body. What's challenging is learning, how do we stop trying to do it for the body? How do we back off from doing it for the body? And beginning, one of the things that mindfulness of breathing can begin to help us learn is where are the places where we're interfering with the breath, where we're thinking we need to take control, and how do we learn to soften, widen, relax, back off, and let the body breathe. Let the breathing breathe itself. I think for me, that is the most challenging part of the practice. Stepping out of needing to be the breather and knowing, trusting, strengthening the ability to trust that this body knows how to breathe and has known how to breathe since its birth and will continue to do so until the very last moment of my life. That it's not about me doing it. It's about allowing the body to breathe and feeling into the ease of that, letting go of the burden of making the body breathe. I don't need to do that. That's a burden I've somehow taken on that is an unnecessary burden. So maybe that's enough for now. Ms. Ross, any responses or comments?
No, I guess the only other thing that comes to mind is, we do this in this kind of structured way during a meditation, but we can take this into our everyday life too. Once we learn how to connect with the breath and the body and the mind, when we're out there in real life situation, when somebody's pushing our buttons, these skills that we're learning, we can learn when the breath is shallow and the mind is tight, and then we've done this training, as Ms. Shepherd was talking about, we've done the training, like, where is there calm? Is it just the rhythm of the breath? Can that calm me to deal with whatever's happening out here in the real world? So this isn't just a thing we do in the seclusion of our own little chamber. We're training to take this out into the world, and that's why we're doing all of this practice. That's why I'm doing all this. I don't know why you're doing it, but that's why I'm doing this practice, is to take it out in the world. And so that's what it's all about for me. So just grateful that everybody's willing to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good reminder that it's not about, I have a teacher that I always like this image, it's not about getting calluses on your butt, he said. It's not only the formal sitting practice, and in fact, that's why, in the West, we talk about meditation all the time, but in the Buddhist teachings, there isn't any single word for what we call formal meditation. What the Buddha is talking about always is what he calls bhavana, which just means mental development. And of course, we are doing that in every moment, or not doing it in every moment. Maybe I'll just share one other thing that I've been sort of chewing on lately. I'll put it out there and maybe see if it's of help to any of you too. Is that beginning to explore and examine this whole relationship between mind and body can be really interesting. And I think that fundamental to what the Buddha is pointing out for us is that our whole world is really in our mind. That there is nothing out there that isn't based on perceptions in our mind, that we make it all. It's not that it's not real. I mean, it has physical reality, but our only way of knowing it is through the mind. So in a sense, there is nothing out there. Everything is here. We only know the world through our own perceptions. That's how come we can all feel so differently. And, you know, your sister and you can have a completely different view of what happens supposedly in the same family. So if we really take that in and begin to work with that idea that the whole world is based on our perception of it, then the idea of where is the mind and where is the body, that really it is the body that is resting in the mind, not the mind that is resting in the body. That the body isn't what's central and core, it's the mind. That we only know our body, we only experience the body through the mind, through our perceptions, through our sense perceptions, which are in the mind. And not, I point to the brain, and that's a misperception too. The mind is the whole body. We now know that our gut is a very important receptor. So I shouldn't point to the brain. And brain isn't all there is. The mind is everything, the whole way that we receive input. But that we think of the body because it's so physical, but in fact, so this is just something to put out there they might want to reflect on is, what would it be like? How would it shift things for you to consider that actually the body is in the mind, not the other way around? So just something to consider. For me, it's been a sort of, ooh, that twists things up a bit for me. So I think we should do our dedication. Thank you so much for your practice. Oh, I realized that I forgot to mention the date, just so you have some context. So today, when we are recording this, it is Wednesday, August the 12th of 2020. So let's do our dedication. So that may the merit of our time together here and our practice today and every day support and nourish us. May we have inner wealth so that we can practice the joy of giving, that we know we have things to give. We don't need to feel protected and poor, that we have wealth internally. May we always offer goodwill, knowing that we cannot control the course of life, suffering, or death. May we see our own limits with compassion, just as we offer compassion to other beings. May our practice train our hearts, there's that word train again. Train our hearts in clarity, in kindness, and in wisdom. And may all beings, not one left out, be well, be safe, and be free from suffering. So any last goodbye or thoughts, Ms. Ross?
No, just gratitude for your practice, and just know that we're thinking of you. Wishing you well.
Absolutely. Gratitude for your practice. I'm so glad you are all practicing. Please keep it up, even when it's hard. It is the most important thing you can do for yourself and for me and for Ms. Ross and for the whole world. We count on you and need you. We need each other. Thank you. Take care of one another and yourself, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.